Oh, there you are. You didn't think I was coming in, but I'm Ilra, and I'm here. I'm Ilra of Rhythmic Service. I can't sit down, though. I got to stand up. That's much better. Okay. I'll even fix the jacket for the keeper, because he likes his jacket. Don't it look good in the jacket? Is it good? Does it look good? He's holding his gut in really good, but it's good. It's okay. It's okay. Welcome, everybody. We messed with you camera guys. You weren't expecting this, were you? Well, I play the human really well, and I come around and I do all kinds of fun things. But I'm here to talk to you before the timekeeper comes in, because he's my brother, you know. And we talk all the time. We have no problems between us because of the fact that we have no egos. I'm trying to pretend that I got an ego, and I'm doing a pretty good job so far. But it's just a pretend game, because I don't care if I'm talking through him or if we're talking through me. It doesn't make any difference, because we're all part of each other. Kind of the same way you are. You're starting to see that more and more. But in the days ahead, you're going to see quite a bit of difference, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's taking place right now. Because you have a vortex that's forming. It's getting to be very interesting. You ever look at the toilet when you flush the toilet and you see that little thing going down like that? That's a vortex, yep. Yeah, well, you don't have them everywhere, just here in the United States. In Europe, they just go flush, so they don't do the same. But anyway, if you look at a vortex, it's only half of the picture, because it's only looking at this piece up here. There's always an energetic duplicate to the vortex. So even though you're only seeing half the vortex, there's a whole piece of it that you don't see. You've just entered a time vortex, which the timekeeper is going to explain to you. But I want to share it with you because you've already stepped into it. And boy, when we say you've stepped into it, you've really stepped into it this time. So you're going to have a good time with your boots on this one, okay? So here's what's taking place. You're going into a new world. Oh, we got you with that one, didn't we? You weren't expecting that, but you've been planning for it for so long, even the Mayans knew it was coming. So you've stepped into the middle of this. But yet that transition from here to over there is a big step, and very scary for a lot of you humans. So what we did was we started a human wave for you to kind of build and kind of move to open up the vortex. Well, now what's taking place is the vortex is becoming complete, because you've got the one side of it, it attracts the energetics from the other side, and when it all starts moving, it turns into a portal. A portal to what, you ask? Well, a portal to the new world that you're talking about. A portal to this wonderful place that you call home. I call home with a capital H, because that's where I'm from, and that's where you're all from as well. You've been dancing throughout the universe in all kinds of different ways, but here you are landing on Earth, just in time to watch her go through this portal. Most of you have been there working all of your lives over and over and over again to the same end, to try and work to get this place to where you could actually ascend with it without having to go home and change in those bodies. This way you stay right here, you make a big move, and you start the new world. Well, here you go. You stepped into it now. You've stepped into the first part of the vortex. Have you felt time compressing around you? It's almost like all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to today, but it's already gone. That's very fast. Well, you're going to find time compressing even more over the next few months. So just relax with it. Don't worry. It's going to work out good. The timekeeper will tell you more about that. But here's the part. Because now you've stepped into this, and this big wave of this 12, 12, 12 is coming along, and it's going to help push you through the vortex. It's going to help take both parts of the vortex and turn it into the complete portal that you've been looking for. So this is taking place now because you created it. There's no alignments on these dates. There was no grand predictions. There was no Mayan ending the calendar. This is a man-made wave that you've made yourselves. And you've made it to where it can actually go through and help you at your critical times. Very beautiful. Nice work. You've done well here. Now it's going to take you to the next place. But here's the part. Because now you're going to get into the vortex, and it's going to take you past all the way through to the 21st of December. It's a magical date. Yeah, you know about it because it's where somebody stops telling you what's going to happen, and you're going to decide what happens from that point on. Nobody has predicted that far. So you're going to create it on your own every second of every day with no problem at all. So this is going to be your job, kind of what you're going to be working with. So along comes the 12-12-12, which builds up the energy to push you through and make it past the 21st of December. Not only that, but all the way into mid-January, because that's when the portal is going to kind of dump you out the other side. That's kind of what's going to happen. You're just going to show up here. All of a sudden, you're going to say, hey, everything's different. What happened? What took place? And all of a sudden, you wake up and you go, okay, we're in a new world. What can we do now? And you're going to start seeing it's more like home than Earth you knew. It's much more like home because you just think of something and it starts to manifest right in front of you. Now, when you're home, when you're home with the capital H, you just think of something that's right there. If I think of Barbara over here, she just shows up right in front of me just in that moment. But you do the same thing here, but you deal with a time lag. Keeper will tell you a little bit more about that, but basically, it means that nothing is instantaneous. Well, now you're going to find them quite different. You're going to see lots of possibilities for you to start using your creative abilities you've always had at home. Now, Keeper's getting a little dizzy, so I'm going to put the body back down on the chair. There we go. Okay, much better. Much better. I'll let the timekeeper come in now. He wants me to. I'm going to relax the jacket. He's got a different style preference. I'll let him do his own. Greetings. I am the keeper of time. I'm here with you this day to share with you some concepts that you were not able to conceive only a short time ago. Now there are new parts of the time element that we're starting to bring in and introduce into Earth. Last month, I spent some very critical time with you explaining two very important parts that everyone must understand to really grasp time in the future. One of them is the circular time concept, very simply that you're in the present. You believe you have a future and you believe you have a past, but they are tied together as one. So that everything that rolls from your present off into what you call the past will also very soon become your future. So therefore, having a moment and being able to experience time in that moment cleanly to where you leave your past clear for your future becomes the element of something I have called the time imprint. Like a footprint in the snow. Your element and your work and your imprint on the fabric of time leaves an imprint behind you. Well, that is actually your story. That is actually what you have become. Now, this time imprint can only be experienced in the moment because it is truly now time. There is no future, there is no past. You'll have to learn how to grasp everything and squeeze everything out of that moment. Well, you're doing well with that. And last month, I was able to complete many of those concepts for you. Now I would like to take you into something further. For as you are evolving with humans, your own energy field is changing, your physical body is starting to adapt. You're finding lots of openings for you to experience life in a totally different way as a creator being, which we've told you always were. Yes. You are God. And you say, oh, no, not me. Oh, well, yes, you are. Oh, well, I must be a small part of God, for there are many gods here. I'm only a tiny... Yes, you are, but you are also the whole essence of God within you. And now what is taking place is the blinders are coming off. We're going to show you who you are. As you step into this new world, your own thoughts will create every moment of your experience. Well, this is what you've asked for. This is what you have created. We are so incredibly proud from this side of the veil to see what you have done here in such a short time. So let me explain further. For now it is going to be important that you understand more about multidimensionality. And the keeper, the one who is speaking here, for we use the name keeper many ways, but the keeper himself has had a question about our work. For I have been giving information through him for quite some time about multidimensionality, but he was quite concerned because it did not always seem to fit into other people's teachings of multidimensionality. So today we will start to show you some of the connection points and exactly what we are talking about, because you're starting to see things from a totally different perspective. So first, let's explain one concept of multidimensionality that many people understand. It's a very simple very simple answer to the question, where are you? Are you in the third dimension? Are you working within the fourth dimension? Or are you living most of the time within the fifth dimension? Most people have actually gone through the fourth dimension to get to this fifth dimension, much the way that they have gone through the second dimension to get to the third. It is almost a pathway through. But where are you and where are you existing? Well, that will be determined by your own individual vibration, by exactly where you are at this moment. It's also determined by those around you as well, at least those that have a large influence on you. You choose your friends for this reason. Many of them are there to help you move, or sometimes to help retard you and have you go a different way. But you have chosen them very clearly for this reason. So know that you are starting to see this in a totally new way. So that is one description of multidimensionality. Which dimension are you living in? Now, we have told you, we've even given the keeper an entire seminar called Living in the Fifth Dimension, where he simply showed people what it would be like to not have the constraints of the third dimension, to be able to see things from a totally different perspective, and to be able to be in full power of yourselves, which is truly what the word power means. So, that's one description. Now, for the very longest time, we have also been giving the keeper a totally different description of multidimensionality. So let us begin by saying that. In the very beginning of time, you had no need for the dimensions you pull in now. In the very beginning of your own experience, even here on Earth, for the Earth was hot in the beginning. It was not this cooled, beautiful place that has turned into the garden of the universe. It was simply a hot rock sitting out here, floating around, starting to cool. Well, you were inhabiting this beautiful rock, for you had created it for this very reason. But in the beginning, you did not need the physical body, so you simply shined your light. And this is where the word light body originally came from. For you envisioned yourself being on this planet in these ethereal bodies, which did not matter if they would burn up, for it was extremely hot. But with the ethereal bodies of just light, it was no problem. And you danced on this earth. You loved it. You nurtured her along to the point where she started to cool. She started to gain density. Her vibrations started to lower as she's cooled. Oh yes, today you believe that lower vibrations is bad and higher vibrations is good, but we tell you it's only in reference to what you are looking at. In those days, the cooling and the actual gaining density and lowering her vibrations was an advancement. But it left your light very difficult, for your light could not shine the same way. For now it was entering a dense planet, and as this beautiful light, for each one of you carries your own light from home. It is your purpose, it's your integrity, it is everything in your meaning and your passion, all wrapped up in one. And that light from home, you're so accustomed to just shining and being there and having an experience, and suddenly, as it comes into this dense planet, the light crystallized. And it found that the light itself had to take a new form in order to be on this cooling, dense planet. It was then that this beautiful crystal formed. And that crystal shot that ray of light and broke it up into 11 different rays of light. Well, those 11 different rays are your 11 dimensions that you live in simultaneously. Yes, this is quite a different description of dimensionality and multidimensionality than we have previously said in the earlier example. But this is truly, both of them are quite true. For let us explain the rest of this. We believe that humanity is now at a stage where you can start to see all of this and hold all of the truths within your own being. Now, here is where you are. as this beautiful light from home comes and hits this beautiful crystal, it divides off, much like a prism, taking a piece of light and dividing it into a beautiful rainbow. Well, it does exactly the same thing. It divides you off into 11 different dimensions. Now, yes, there are some guidelines. Every time we speak to you about rules on planet Earth, you turn around and break them, so we'll simply say there are guidelines. Humans love to break rules. It's part of what you've done so well. It's the reason you're here. Don't knock it. So here's what takes place, is that when you are born into this earth, all 11 dimensions come in at once. The crystal that divided you is the 12th dimension. That we could consider to call your higher self. This is the part that remains out of your physicality, but keeps you connected to home all the time, but not just to home, also to the other 11 dimensions. For here is a very critical point. If you take this line right here, this imaginary line halfway up, and we call this home with a capital H, and we call this earth, home is perfect. Always. There's no imperfections up here. But if you cross that line, everything here must be imperfect in some way in order to exist on this planet. It's part of the guidelines that you yourselves have set up to learn how to play God on planet Earth. So, in order to take this beautiful, perfect ray of light, hits this prism, and it dances and it distributes imperfections or seeming imperfections into each one of these beings. How does it do that? Well, you are perfectly balanced in all areas. You are a being of light. You are not imperfect in any way, even though you believe you are here to learn certain things and to improve yourself constantly. Well, we encourage you to go after that, for that is exactly where you are going home. That is exactly how you are building home right here. But here you are. So what takes place is that when it hits that crystal, your perfections are distributed unequally. In other words, one of your beings is really good at something over here, and this being over here really is terrible at that same attribute. So it's distributed in many different ways. So the perfect being is all 12 of you, and the imperfect being is any one individual. Now, what is taking place is that as you have been advancing all along, you have been starting to lower the walls between the dimensions. Even today, you have something called bleed through, where you feel something, especially on an emotional level, or you have what you call a bad day, where you cannot simply stop crying, and you don't know why. Well, it's actually not you. It's the dimension right next to yours that is bleeding through partly. And you are starting to feel all sorts of things that are not from your origin, but are in some way. And it's very confusing for most of you. Well, here is what is also taking place. As those walls start to lower, you can gain information from the perfect parts of you that you are missing. So each one of your 12 dimensions starts to become more whole within themselves. So now if you were to take this and simply say that this person here is working with 4 of her beings in other areas and trying to balance those 4 beings, then she is living in the 4th dimension. If she is working with 6 of those beings, which is very difficult to do at this point, 5 is the most you can work with at the moment, but if she is working with 6, she would actually be living in the 6th dimension. And for this reason, these actually coincide in ways that you could not see previously. Now, does that mean that you can count all of your dimensions and you can say, oh, I need to this? No, what we tell you is that as you are striving toward perfection, you are creating it. It is working. You are balancing yourself. All of your self-regulating systems for knowledge are now kicking in. And you have all before you in front of you at one time. Very similar to the way things work at home with a capital H. So these are the parts that we tell you you are starting to do. And what is taking place is more and more people are now living in the 5th dimension in this way and showing you what is taking place. The other part that is happening is that each and every one of you, no matter what dimension you live in, no matter how you are separated, and we tell you that even your sciences, even your quantum mechanics, don't call it the universe anymore. They call it the multiverse because it makes sense for them. The only way that they were able to get them all coordinated was to split them into 12 dimensions. And now they work perfectly. For this is the only part where the string theory and Einstein's theory of relativity can actually come together and support each other. It is happening right here, for you are changing much of what you have previously known as your truths. You are starting to step through this portal that you yourselves have created. Oh, you're giving me the time. That's so cute. Here I am, the keeper of time, and you are giving me the time. Not only that, but I must look at all of these clocks. This is so wonderful to be here on Earth. I had never dreamt of that. Little lady holding up the time, telling me how much time I have. Oh, that's great. That's good. I must tell Ilra about that one. Oh, yes, that was very good. Now, what was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? Oh, yes, we've embarrassed her now. That's okay. She will come round. She knows the keeper very well. It's no problem. Yeah. Anyway, you're stepped into the portal. You're going to find your own experience of time starting to shift, especially during the next, what you call months. There will be 3 months of compressed time that have already begun. It is a wonderful way to go through a portal. Now, here is what we highly suggest. If you turn around and look at your history, huge events in history that have taken place, you can remember exactly where you were in that moment that you learned of this. You can remember a time signature, an imprint of exactly the smells in the air, what your feelings were, what you had on. And that is about to happen here on the 12-12-12. This is a time that you have created your magic to come to Earth. Now, it is coming in all sorts of ways, but it is up to you to find the final destination for this and the uses of this energy. We tell you, you are magic beyond your understanding. Now, if you will tap into that and act accordingly, act responsibly with your magic, of course you would, but use it and stop being afraid of it. Now is the time to harmonize yourselves, for you've stepped through this creation portal that you have created yourselves, and you're building a new world, one that will work with a different set of physics even than what you have done before. The transition between these worlds would have been tremendously difficult, but you've already been preparing for it. And you've already made more than 1/3 of the steps needed to step into this new world. It's been coming upon you little by little as you've been creating it. Yes, we've been telling you it was coming, but here it is, right in front of you. And we hope, dear ones, that you open your eyes every morning and you look for the miracles that you hold in that day. We hope that you expect more from yourself tomorrow than you expect from yourself today. We hope and we know that you are so full of love that all it is going to take is for you to start sharing that love with each other. For no one is on this path alone. And none of you are originally from Earth. You have all started throughout many quadrants of the universe. For you, dear ones, are the troubleshooters that were needed to be in a very critical place. Now, last month when I spoke to you, I gave you a message. And at the end of that message, I told you that that this group of very special beings is back together on Earth. And you are a very large group. You transverse the universe. You transverse the entire Earth with your numbers. But you are also a very focused and specialized group of beings. The last time that you have been together is almost 800 years now. It was actually at the signing of something called the Magna Carta. a very beautiful part. It was the first human rights legislation you have ever had on planet Earth. Now, why would you need to know that? Well, it's not so much that your names were on the Magna Carta, but there was an energy needed toward human rights and toward looking at humans as empowered beings. And it was very necessary to get a critical mass of people on Earth that would support that, and that ended up in the signing of the Magna Carta. Well, here you are back again. You've already changed laws. You've already changed several of them, even in the recent election here in the United States. Are you ready to take your power, dear ones? There is a massive group of very powerful beings here that are ready to give you back your power. All it takes is for you to hold it and for you to find the uses for it in your own world. It is with the greatest of honor that Ilra and I greet you as singularities of the group. For we are truly inseparable, even with the Keeper himself, although he loves to keep us separate. But we tell you, we could not be prouder to see not what we want, but what you have created here on this earth. If nothing more, celebrate that. And the magical dates that are coming up, the 12-12-12, the December 21st, and even December 31st, are very magical and critical parts for each one of you. What do we ask you to do? We ask you to do something very important. Celebrate! Make a noise, let your voice be heard. Sing out loud, dance in the dark with your eyes closed. Celebrate in any way that you can. For you have made it on this human side, and you are carrying that energy from home within your physical beings. That celebration causes the vibrations of home. And remember, if we find you getting too seriously, we will tickle your funny bone to remind you that it's a game. And you're supposed to be having fun. Now we will end this channel, as the Keeper calls it, and let him go take care of his red nose and his ailing body. But he will be fine. He simply had to slow down a bit. We took care of that. It's with the greatest of honor that we greet you in this way. We ask you to treat each other with respect, nurture one another every chance you get. Play well together. I am the Keeper of Time. That's powerful.
I will get him back.
I think I'm fried. I'm not sure if there's any brain left.